This video is about the IIP version 1.11.0 released in May 2026, and this video will discuss the new main functions. So if you're interested in the complete IIP, first check the website where you find the link below here. In this video we will specifically only discuss the new functions, which are the content compare of two documents or entities, the definition and display of custom working contexts and/or custom views, and then explain what those concepts actually mean. The third main feature is an improvement of the handling of Blockrefs, mainly in the residue OHTs, where you can reference from one table to another or from one block to another. The fourth improvement is the expand collapse of blocks in the content pane. So let's get started with the content compare. So you see here the IIP interface, that hasn't changed. So for the comparison, let's navigate to a specific test case that I use for testing. The test data you see here is not relevant really. It's just for demonstration purposes. So you see here I have always pairs or multiple of the same type. Of course, when you compare, you can only compare the same type, which means the same document within the same data set or across data sets, or the same entity, meaning you can of course also compare items in the inventory like the literature reference or literature references. Let's do the demonstration here with two documents first. So you navigate to a document of a specific type and then say you want to compare this first document with the second one. What you could do is simply you duplicate the tab, you navigate to the second one, because what you need for the comparison is the UUID, because you find the access to the compare function up here in the upper right corner where you find this new field. So now we go to the first document, say the copy document. We copy then up here the UUID into the clipboard. We then navigate to the second tab and paste it in here. So we compare this document with the second one. You paste, and it takes a second to open in completely new tab. Ignore this. This is just for the beta version. This will not be the case in the productive version. And you will see a new display specifically designed to display the comparison. On the left side, you see the usual element navigation pane, but you may already notice some new signs here, which tells you whether there are differences or not in the respective field or the block. And on the right side, you see the content of the original document and this copy, which are the names of the two documents side by side. So the first document is depicted in blue, the second one in green. And the coloring is chosen to be applied when there is a difference. When there is no difference, to better distinguish that, because you are likely interested in differences, there is no coloring applied. So you see the field information is for fields is displayed in a horizontal mode. So for a specific field, let's say endpoint, you have the first value here, the second value here, and then the respective coloring. When you look at tables, it's a little bit different. You have the first value of this blue document in the upper part, so it's stacked vertically, and the second one in the lower part. But with the usage of the color and those icons, the differences are easy to spot. So let's talk about those symbols here. This means there is a difference and both values are actually filled. Let's look for a different icon, maybe this one. You see there is a difference, but it tells you only the second value is being filled. The first value is not filled. You see, apparently there is still an error in here. It doesn't work yet correctly on the Blockref items. What you can do is you can filter to only show the differences. So hide value, as you see up here, this icon, you can click this toggle bar here. You can hide the identical values, and then you see only the fields that are different. Okay, and this difference sometimes is very can be very minor, so the whole content is being compared. By the way, what we don't do is we don't tell you within a field where the actual difference is. So this is really a styling difference, which is already part of this second document. This is not something done by the comparison algorithm. So you have to find in longer texts, you have to find the differences yourself. What you can do then is you can print or output this comparison result by using the print functionality of your browser. So make sure you have correctly chosen an appropriate styling or scaling to either print it or save as PDF or whatever you have as drivers here. What the comparison function currently cannot do is an output as JSON or a technical format. This is not yet implemented. Looking here at the comparison of the attachments, what we really compare is, and you don't see this in this comparison here, but we compare the actual content of the attachment. We ignore the file name. We're looking really at the content. Technically speaking, this is the MD5 value. So even if you upload the same document twice, but with a different file name, and you have this in the same column within the comparison, there wouldn't be any difference. So it's a real content comparison. You see the refresh button up here. So of course this is a read-only display. What you can do to if you for example during the comparison you see okay there are some errors, you want to change some things, you can simply go back and do whatever. Let's choose a different endpoint here. Okay, sorry, there's only one endpoint available, so let's take something else. So we changed it from key study to other information. We save this. So adequacy of study now should have changed. We go back to this tab for comparison. We press refresh. It takes a second. And now we have the difference here. Again, the comparison also works on the inventory. Let's quickly demonstrate this. So let's have this first document here, and let's move to here and take the second one. Now let's copy this reference in here. We paste the comparison in here, and we open the comparison tab. And you see a comparison now of the literature in the very same way as we saw it just for the document. And by the way, here, this is my test case. This is actually the same PDF uploaded in the two documents, but with different names. I simply renamed the file, but it is clearly designed to be, or it is detected to be the same. Okay, so this is the first part of the demonstration. Now I want to discuss the concepts of custom working context and custom view, and then their administration. The custom view is not a new concept. It has been present in previous version, but custom working context is a new one. So let's first demonstrate this. Let's navigate to maybe a data set where I have very many documents. So when you start, by default, it shows you the documents in this list view, but as you know, hopefully know, you can toggle between this list display and the tree display with this toggle, and then you can expand the whole tree and you can collapse the whole tree. These are functions that are already available in the past versions. And then what you have now visible is the complete table of contents. That's one of the assigned ones. So for this specific data set, there is a second one assigned. So when you change this, you will see that respective tree. So when you click in here, what you see are the assigned working contexts, which are assigned within IUCLID. And then you see a third line with a pen, which is a custom working context. Just for clarification, the assignment of built-in working context to a data set is done in the IUCLID web interface. Just to show this, as you know, you can click on here to open a document or a data set in IUCLID. So let's open IUCLID and quickly show you the assignment here. So you see this is the assignment of the working context. Let's assign a third one just for demonstration. We save it. Now we should have 3 working contexts. We now need to refresh the whole list. And now we see this third built-in IUCLID working context. So the management or the assignment of built-in working context to dataset is done within the IUCLID web interface and used in IIP. Now let's come to this custom working context. It's basically the same functionality, but with a tree that you can define yourself. So this is a tree in a form that you won't find in IUCLID. And this comes from an example from a company collecting information from IUCLID, which is relevant for coformulants. This is the way they organized it, and I use this as a demonstration example. So here's the structure, which you can define, which I'll show you in a second. And you can work with this custom working context in the very same way as with a built-in one. You can delete documents here, or of course you can also create ones, and depending on the definition, what is being shown in this custom working context, you will see the different possibilities. So let's simply create a new one here. And here you see a second one that we just created. So it is not read-only the custom working context. It is it can be used in the same way. Of course, you can then switch back to the complete table of contents, and then you would see your irritation study that you just created. Yeah, the endpoint summary in the same way. So you can switch between your custom working context and a default one. It's all stored in IUCLID. You may have noticed that with the, let's do this again for a second. So let's navigate from a built-in working context to a custom one by selecting this fourth line here. This is the custom working context. And you see that the second line has become active. The second line is, and this is already present in the previous version, a listing of the custom views. And now what is a custom view? A custom view is the possibility to define what of a specific document or document class is to be shown on the right side. So from all the fields and blocks available in a document, you can decide to only display a specific part. So maybe for demonstration, this is the full list of fields, which you see on the right side now. And if I apply this sample view, it drills down to, did it? Or did it not? I think I have, I'm applying this now on a different data set. So let me navigate to my demonstration data set. No, we were right. Sorry, let's do it again. Okay, now, sorry, this tree, this is what I wanted to do. So now this is the GHS, and I currently apply this view. If I delete the view, you will see the complete GHS fields and blocks. So on the right side, if I apply this view, you see drill down, you only then see this classification. It's somewhat a filter on relevant endpoints of those documents that are present in this custom working context. Okay, so as you saw, you can use, let's switch back to the table of contents here. You can combine the usage or the application of a custom working context and the application of a custom view. If you select this custom working context, automatically this custom view is being applied. This is an optional feature which can be used, and the administration for that I will show you in a second. Okay, so now how can you do this? How can you manage your own custom working context and custom views? This is now a new feature. Let's navigate to the home view. And what we did to show the administration of custom working context and views is to define a new URL, which is not linked to anything in the menu, but you need to know this. The reason for that is we don't want to make it super present for the standard user, as we expect this to be a functionality for specific users only, and this is not a daily task to define custom views and custom working contexts. So on the left side now you see custom views. On the right side you see custom working contexts. Let's start with the custom views. You have a listing here, and with the button here, or let's first select an entry, you have a preview of this custom view. This is the technical definition, so you need to have some familiarity of JSON to be able to work with that. The recommended approach is to look at those examples. And here I just opened the current user manual. So here is a short explanation of custom views, but the recommendation would be similar to the IIF format for import-export. Look at the samples here. And then you see it's relatively easy to understand. Let's look at a more simpler one. Study conclusion here. This definition down here says for all endpoint study records. Note the wildcard here that I just highlight. just show two specific fields. Yeah. Or that one, just show all residue documents and don't show anything else. Or here, for all study records, just show results in discussion. So you see, it's relatively straightforward to understand. Make sure that the JSON syntax is correct and maybe ask your local IT for help. But then you can, for example, if you say you want to modify this, you can download this all existing views. So here we have the view. You can open it in your text editor. Let's say we have another one which we want to modify. I just leave the definition as it is as a demonstration. But then let's say you have modified this. You close your new definition. Ideally, please change the file name because we're using this for uniqueness. Change the file name and then go back. And then you see here a button to upload new definitions. So you can navigate back to this definition. And then hopefully in a second, we see, here it is. Here it is. We see our new definition that we just created. And now we can go back and apply this. You may need to refresh the browser to make it effective, but it's readily available when it's correct syntax and if you are, of course, correct with the document names and the field names. Now you may ask, how do I know the document names, the technical document names and the field names? So let's show this. And let me just use another tab so I don't need to navigate back. Let's go to any okay, so now we have an arbitrary document. What you see here on the right side is in front of every field and block, you find the respective symbols of the field or block. The flag is for the confidentiality block. This is a symbol for a table. And for a real block, let's also show this, you have this symbol. Now you can click on every of those icons. And you may notice this is the identifier. So as an example, to show only the cross-references of this specific document, you would copy this identifier to clipboard. Then let's reopen what we just had. No, it's no longer there anymore. It's because I renamed it. I reopened it again. So this would be then a custom view where you only show the cross-references of all endpoint study records. Now, if you want to just show it for a specific document or documents, this can also be a list, by the way. So the document types can be a list, the fields can be a list. If you just would like to have this as a very specific view for QTox Dermal, you can click on this document icon in front of the type name and the name, and you will see the full technical name, which you then could use to paste in your view. So now, of course, I would need to change the title and key in something identifying for that one. But now you would have a new custom view. And in the same manner, you would do it for any of the blocks. What you cannot do right now is showing only specific columns of a table. This is not possible. And what's also not possible is, for example, to show, if you have repeating blocks, only show the second or third block. If it's something is repeating, you have to show the whole thing. So there is some syntax check being applied when you upload the custom definition. Fine, so I hope this explains how to work with custom views, how to define them, how to manage them in this administration interface. Now let's come to the to the working context. In the upper part, you find the built-in IUCLID working contexts. What does it mean? We're currently connected to a specific IUCLID instance. In my case, this is the current version 10.0. And what you see here, these are the definitions of those of this format in a user readable manner. Let's have a look at a specific one, maybe not a too complex one. Let's look at too many. Let's look at the complete working context mixture. So you can download this custom, this built-in working context in user-friendly manner. So here is the working context. It's not the complete information, but it's the relevant information. So this is sort of the tree you're probably familiar with when you apply the complete working contexts. You have level 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 5. And here at the end, in this column F, you will find the technical names for the respective documents to be shown in here. So why do we do this? Of course, the IUCLID built-in cannot be modified, but you can now use this as a template to define your own working context. So you could say, okay, this is sorry, I need to scroll up. I am my own provider. Let's call this IIP demo. A title. Let's call it demo title. It is applicable for mixture or substance. And here you can define in line 4 what I've shown you before. Optionally, you can define a custom view, the identifying attribute of a custom view, so key or title or file name, I'm not sure, but I think all of them work. And sorry, which should be applied whenever somebody selects this custom working context. And in this custom view would be applied in addition. This is optional. Again, you can do it with or without. The IUCLID version is an information field. Remember, working context may be specific for different IUCLID formats, so therefore we output this again, and also we expect this as an information field. And then here you can, of course, then say, let's say this is my demo. Yet another node, and so forth. And let's simply say we just delete the rest. Almost deleted the rest. Delete. Okay, so that should already be a valid tree. Now I inserted a new line. I'm just going to, for demonstration purposes, take this document and let's just take those two documents and put it in the upper node. I need to delete it. The documents need to be unique, by the way. So you cannot show the same document type twice. That's the same restriction as IUCLID applies. And if you would define such a working context, you couldn't upload it. So now let's see whether this works. I close this. I call this a demo. Working context. And then we navigate to the administration menu. And you see here in the lower part, you see this section for the user-defined custom working contexts. There is already one there, exactly the one that I used for demonstration a couple of minutes ago. But here you can define new ones. So here we have this one. Let's see whether this works. Okay, here it works. Demo title. And now let's see when we refresh the whole thing, whether we can apply it. So, okay, let's do another refresh, not sure. Let me check. We have defined it for mixture. That's the reason. So as you see, it's then only applicable for mixture if I say it's applicable for mixture. So let's go try this. Here we go, demo title. And here you have your tree. Apparently in this sample data set, there are no documents in there. Let's try another one. I don't have very many mixtures in here, but this one should then work. Demo title. Okay, so we have one document or specific ones in here, and as with the built-in working context, you can create new documents from this custom working context. Great, so this terminates the demonstration of custom views, custom working context, and their administration. Now, as the third main new feature in IIP version 1.11.0, we have an improvement of Blockref value assistance. So what is this? Let's navigate to a data set where I have a sample document. Okay, and of course, by the way, this is a good demo. If you have a view applied and you have no specific document in there, it will reduce the set of documents. So the definition of the custom working context and the views are applied simultaneously. Metabolism in livestock. I think this is OHT 85.2, contains a lot of fields which are called block references in technical terms. What does this mean? Let me navigate to appropriate example. Okay, here we have good example. So in this table here, you define what is called dosing regime number. This is a pick list. If you click on here, as you can do for any item, you see the label, the identifier, and you can see there are 20 phrases in this pick list. You can even, by the way, copy the values of that to the clipboard. Let me quickly demonstrate this. So here you see the code and the actual value. If you want to manually fill IEF files for import into IIP, this is how you would find the respective values that you can use. So let's fill in a new field. And what you can do then is in this field here, this is a reference to that field. How do you know? Well, it's the same as in IUCLID, but in IIP we have some explanation. We show you that this field references this dosing regime, which is the table, and actually it references the values which you find in the first column, which is the regime number. And by the way, it's not always the first column that is being referenced. For example, in 85.5, there are cases where you reference the second column. Okay, so now you have again your pick list or your value assistance. You see that the number 16 here that I just typed in is available for referencing. Of course, you can now put in additional values. And within IUCLID, this is now being stored appropriately with the internal UUIDs. Now, what we changed is some functionality to ensure that all the information is consistent. So first of all, you cannot put in something which cannot be resolved. You get an error. But secondly, we're also checking that those values, once created, remain valid. Now let's delete this number 16 value. You see immediately you will get an error. Target block has been removed now because now there is an inconsistency. This reference points to nowhere in our document that we have currently locally in IIP, so you're not able to store. So this helps you to keep the consistency of the data. By the way, this is not as easy and apparent in IUCLID. There are multiple things which are a bit uncontrolled. One is, for example, in IUCLID and currently also in IIP, you can create multiple table rows having the same identifier. And now, what is the problem here? Let me just delete this here. Okay, let me delete the line. So now the problem is that once you enter the data, you actually don't see anymore to what line you're referencing. This is a problem we currently do not address in IIP because it's a core problem within IUCLID itself. Of course, the respective help text, I think in IUCLID, it's not available here, tells you to keep the values unique, but it's not enforced technically. So please make sure you only use distinct values. Okay, so again, we worked on the functionality to make block references stable and to avoid that inconsistent data is being applied. And you have this value assistance across all fields here. So what I do here with the keyboard, I just press space and then you get the value assistance and then you can type in the numbers. You can select the values. And again, if I would now delete this respective source line, I would get an error and couldn't continue to save to avoid having inconsistent information in IUCLID. This terminates this demonstration of the Blockref values. The final topic I want to explain quickly is expand collapse. We can simply stay here in this sample document. In this middle pane, you have expand collapse icons here. And by the way, these are the icons that show you where you actually find data. The other fields are apparently empty. As you know, you can filter for empty or filled fields, and you can expand collapse. You can even apply multiple filters at once. So what you have seen is if I do expand and collapse in this new version, this applies also to the content pane. So if I expand on the left side, it will, or the middle pane, it will apply on the right pane as well. and vice versa. So especially in those complex documents, this hopefully allows you to navigate to specific fields more easily than in the respective IUCLID content view, which is quite lengthy and uses up quite some space. Good, those are the main features. Of course, there are some more minor features. There are some other improvements, a couple of bug fixes. If you, again, want to know more about IIP, check the website. If you are registered, you have access to the IIP version free of charge. You have access to the user manual that I just demonstrated before, so please check this out. You will find the information about custom views, for example, here. You find information how to administrate the things in here, so please check this out. And I hope you enjoy using this new versions. If you have any questions or comments, or even, of course, if you notice some flaws or inconsistencies, please don't hesitate to contact us via this email. Thank you for your attention.